Hey, babe. Happy Wednesday. Did you miss me? Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and get into some things.
You probably think I'm shady, girl, I know, but I ain't gon' fucking bounce. I'm feeling you, I wanna get to know you, so let's have pillow talk. You probably think I'm shady, girl, I know, but I ain't gon' fucking bounce.
You having a good day so far? What's been going on? Oh, we missed Sports Talk Tuesday. Your babe was tired. So I decided to bring you sports lunch talk. And shout out to Jack the Voice. Hey, babe. You like that? I didn't even know that. I think it's Kid Cutting had a Pillow Talk song. So I decided to go ahead and add that to one of my new intros. And I'm constantly changing up my intros. Now, the outro has been the same for the past month, but it seems like every week I have a new intro, if not every time I go live. That's the indecisiveness that Bay has going on. Are you still working out? I'm curious. Let Bay know, because if so, it's been a long time you've been working out. You're gonna be hard body for real, man of steel. Let's see here. I said, oh, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like a normal life. However, I want to get into some things about CTE. Okay, cool down, babe. Don't get too hyped now. But I want to get into what's been going on sports wise, but then I wanted to get into CTE and how it affects our community. As I come from a town, city where little league football is really big. Um, so if you're starting your kids off with these, I guess that's why they have just flag football, which is great. But still, even in flag football, you have that one aggressive child that's just going to go full force, boom, and try to knock the other little nigga out. Then next thing you know, the little nigga that get locked out is going to be an aggressive adult just because it was another aggressive kid on the football field. Also, is it an excuse? Is CTE an excuse for people to say, like it's okay to be mean, not being held accountable for their actions? And could that affect kids that are being abused at a young age? So, here at Pillow Talk with Babe, mental health is very, very important. We all struggle with our own individual mental health issues. So, I always try to tie that in as well whenever I talk about things, especially if I can. I'm going to. So, first things first, I want to talk about. Let's see here. Let me try to bring up some screens. And I'm glad that everybody is doing good. And I appreciate you, Jack the Voice, for being in the building. We had a wonderful conversation last night. Unfortunately, the internet went out. But we really got into some things while I was just watching him play the game. which I have been privy to in my current relationship and in my previous relationships, just watching the game and talking. So I am glad to have ran across you, Jack, and your intelligence, and can't wait to future collab. I think it's going to be very, very great what we talked about. So I'm excited. I'm still excited. All right. I know I can't do two things at one time, but we're going to try. Let's see here. Actually. Oh, well, I'm going ahead and pull this up. We're going to go ahead and pay a bill. All right. Or pay a gas bill, as in gas for the car. We're going to pay a bill over here. All right. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about with sports talk is ranking 12 greatest NFL playoff games of all time. Chiefs' epic OT win over the Bills, among the best ever. Now, this is from Sunday night's game, and fans watching Sunday night's game witnessed an instant classic. Now, and this is courtesy of CBS Sports. Shout out to you, bye. Let's go ahead and get into it. There you go. All right. So the road to Super Bowl still runs through Kansas City, but it took a Herculean effort by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense to get past the Bills on Sunday's AFC divisional round playoff game. The Chiefs' 42-36 overtime win capped off a memorable weekend that saw all four games come down to the wire. The weekend's first three games were decided on last-second field goals, while the Chiefs needed a 49-yard field goal by Harrison Butker at the end of regulation before winning it in overtime. Anyone who watched the Bills Chiefs game quickly realized that they were witnessing an instant classic unfold in real time. The frantic and furious action in the game's final stages merits a place on the all-time list of greatest playoff games in NFL history. Here's where the game officially stands where compared with the NFL's other all-time playoff games. The criteria used when determining the list was as follows. How competitive was the game from start to finish? Big plays on both sides of the ball? Excitement, entertainment value. Unique factor, what made the game stand out from other great playoff games. All right, and we got the 12 greatest NFL playoff games. Are y'all ready? You ready, babe? Let's see here. Number 12, 1971 divisional round, Dolphins 27, Chiefs 24, overtime. This game, played on Christmas Day 1971, remains the longest game in NFL history. At 82 minutes and 40 seconds, Miami won despite an all-time performance by Chiefs running back Ed Polak, who amassed Jesus, 350 total yards and two touchdowns. The Dolphins won the game in the second overtime on Garo Yepperman's 37-yard field goal that was set up by Larry Kosinka's 29 yard run through an exhausted Chiefs defense. I lost like 18 pounds that day, Kosmika said years later. I lost so much weight that my pants were loose. And here we go with a little bit of a tweet from the NFL. Shout outs to them. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and play this, but I have to switch my screen because I got my little headset on today. So let me stop that because I want y'all to be able to hear. Let's hear what this man got to say. Of course, I would have to go to another page. Hold on, y'all. They gonna get it together one day or another. This is what I hate. Ain't nobody tell it to bring up a new screen. All right, let's
Play that lets
run
you
this
win
bad
or
boy.
lose.
We played Kansas City in the playoffs one year. It went on and on and on.
It's still the longest
Let me
game
know
in
if you can
NFL
hear that.
history.
We have finished 5 periods of play. We're going into the 6th. It's overtime.
How you feel, man?
You do not have the ability to quantify what tired means because you don't know what play is to play that lets you win or lose. It's a fascinating moment, but tired is not a word that could come into your mind.
And here comes the smallest man in professional football.
Get ready to commit. Make sure you focus.
The pressure will be on. Kick is in the air, and it is good. The Dolphins are in the AFC Championship game.
We played Kansas City in the playoffs one year. It went on and on and on.
It's still the longest game in NFL history.
We have finished 5 periods of play. We're going into the 6th. It's overtime.
How you feel, man?
You do not have the ability to quantify what tired means because you don't know what play is to play that lets you win or lose. It's a fascinating moment, but tired is not a word that could come into your mind.
And here comes the smallest man in professional football.
Get ready to commit. Make sure you focus.
The pressure will be on. Kick is in the air, and it is good. The Dolphins are in the AFC Championship game.
We played Kansas City in the playoffs one year.
Hey, Tatiana Bae, thank you for coming through. Girl, don't work too hard, okay? You work the job. Don't let the job work you. I appreciate you stopping by. Now, I'll see you later for I'm talking about messy Mondays, messy Wednesdays, girl. Hopefully, I'll be on time. See, Jack, I think I would do good, but I need to be a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to uh, sports knowledge. I don't have that much sports knowledge. Now, I have a passion for it. Sports is big in my family. However, I don't have that much knowledge. And I can try to read as much as I can. And this is helping me gain knowledge. So hopefully, um, Sports Talk Tuesday will help kind of gain some traction. And I also like to do things to look out for my fellas. They love the fellas. And I love my ladies too. So, like I said, I'm dear babe, your favorite babe. I'm going to give it to you how you want it. Okay? Anyway, let me get I get too much into it. I know. All right, let's continue to read. There we go. All right, number 11, 1994 divisional round. Raiders 28, Dolphins 26. Sports Illustrated billed it as the Super Bowl 13 and a half. That's what that, or is that 8? Y'all figure it out and let me know. And the game certainly didn't disappoint. The game started with an 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Dolphins rookie Nat Moore. Down 19-14, Cliff Branch's 72-yard touchdown catch gave Oakland a slim fourth quarter lead. The two-time defending champion Dolphins countered with rookie Benny Malone's 23rd yard score with just over 2 minutes left. With time running out, Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler moved his team to the Dolphins' 8-yard line before throwing in heavy traffic to running back Clarence Davis, who managed to pull Stabler's pass amidst a sea of hands from Dolphins defenders. The win was one of John Madden's greatest as the Raiders coach, as it ended Miami's reign as NFL kingpin. And if you haven't liked this video yet, what are you waiting on, babe? What else you doing besides listening to me? Go ahead and like this video. And for my replay gang, hey, babe, I appreciate you replaying. Number 10. So is this Super Bowl 25? I think the X's is 10. The V's is 5. We're going to go with that. And you correct me in the comments. Giants 20, Bills 19. The closest Super Bowl ever. This game started with Whitney Houston's emotional redemption of the national anthem and ended with Scott Norwood missing a game-winning field goal attempt. Down 12-3 in the first half, the Giants got back in the game by controlling the ball for a Super Bowl record, 40 minutes and 19 seconds. Despite barely having the ball, the Bills were in position to win the game with 8 seconds left. Thurman Thomas ran roughshod over the Giants with 190 total yards in a losing effort. The Giants received a gritty effort from backup quarterback Jeff Hostetler, who completed a series of critical third down throws to help the Giants win their second Super Bowl under Bill Parcells. Interesting. Now, I do remember, well, not remember because I don't even think I was born then, but I ran across that Whitney Houston's national anthem. Look, Naomi's 33. I know, well, I don't know because I don't know when this was. Super Bowl 25. I'll look it up later. Look, I was sitting on the stands. I had front row seats while I was watching Whitney. Number 9, Super Bowl. Is that 51? Is L 50? I've never seen L. Oh, wow. Patriots 34, Falcons 28. Overtime. Down 28-3, New England scored 25 unanswered points in the final 17 minutes of regulation before winning the first overtime in Super Bowl history. The Patriots' unprecedented comeback was fueled by Dontas Hightower's critical force fumble of Matt Ryan, Julian Edelman's fingertip catch, and Danny's Amendola's. These people with these last names, I mean, granted, their first name is a sight for the eyes. However, my last name is pretty easy. So I don't understand. Anywho, 2-point conversion to force overtime. James White 2-yard touchdown in overtime capped off the largest comeback in Super Bowl history. Looks like we got a little clip. Sportline's Larry Hartstein is an epic 73-48 roll on NFL picks and just locked in plays for Kansas City at Cincinnati and LA Rams at San Francisco. Number 8, 1958 NFL Championship. Colts 23, Giants 7. Shout out to the Giants. Overtime. The first ever overtime NFL game, the Colts rode the dominant passing duo of quarterback Johnny Unitas and receiver Raymond Berry to a historic win inside Yankee Stadium. Unitas hit Berry 12 times for 178 yards and a touchdown while defeating a supremely talented Giants team led by Frank Gifford and Sam Huss. The game played a major role in NFL, eventually surpassing baseballs as America's premier sport. Now, do we have any baseball fans? Leave in the chat or the comments if you're part of the replay game. If you're a baseball fan, and if you're so, maybe I could start tying in some baseball stats. Right now, I just kind of go for basketball and football because those are things that I watch. But if I have some baseball fans, I will tie it in for you, okay? Now, looks like this is the excerpt from that year's game. I don't want to watch on Twitter. I just want you to play right here, right now. But we'll go ahead and
The
bring
big
it
game
in.
for me
Oh,
was
it's
the
playing.
58 championship, the greatest game ever played.
It's the Colts against the New York Giants for the World Championship of Professional Football.
They were basically playing on dirt. There was no grass anywhere because it had all worn down.
Back to passes. Unitas throws to Mutchler. Mutchler makes a brilliant catch. Man, what a game. 3rd down and 3 to go. This is a crucial play. They missed it by 3 or 4 inches.
And now the Colts are in position to tie the game.
With 15 seconds to go, Miley's going to kick from the 19, which would tie it up and send it into sudden death.
He kicks a 20-yard field goal with 7 seconds remaining to send it into what will be the first sudden death overtime in history.
A most historic moment in football history.
I remember hoping that the Giants defense would stop the Colts on that final drive. And of course, I got my heart ripped out right away.
It's 3rd and 1 yard to go for the championship. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. What a clutch comeback by the Baltimore Colts.
It was a game that attracted a lot of people who had never followed professional football before and transformed the NFL into a national test.
The greatest football game that I have ever seen.
Wow. That was intense, to say the least. Again, that was the Colts Giants 1958 NFL Championship. According to the Colts, and shout out to the Colts, it's the greatest game ever played. It's officially the number 1 game in NFL history. What's your stance on it, Bae? You think that was the number 1 NFL game in history? Do you have your own personal preference of what the number 1 NFL game is in history? Let Bae know. Maybe we can talk about it. We could pillow talk about it. Number 7. Super Bowl, I want to say 63rd. I'm not from 63rd. All I can think of. Rest in peace, Devon. Steelers 27, Cardinals 23. This game had its dull moments, but it makes the list based on its thrilling ending. Down 20-7, the Cardinals took a late lead after Kurt Warner hit Larry Fitzgerald on a 64-yard touchdown with 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. Backed up on his own 12, Ben Roethlisberger engineered one of the greatest game-winning drives in NFL history. That was capped off by his remarkable touchdown pass to San Antonio Holmes, who caught the ball before escaping both of his feet inside the back of the end zone. The game also featured James Harrison eye-popping 100-yard interception return for a touchdown just before halftime. Anybody remember that game? Now, I want to know, as I'm reading, I hope my favorite is in here. I'm not quite sure, but if it's not, I am going to play it for you because I don't know if you was around, okay, but I have a cousin that played for the Giants, and his touchdown was in the Hall of Fame. So once you see this, if it's in here, then go for it. But if not, I'm gonna go ahead and play it because it was a remarkable catch. And I think it needs to be shown. So then you'll know more about me. And look, I'll be the dox myself. And Jack said, I don't even watch sports like that. I used to when I was younger. I think I was 14 when I started saying, I'd rather be tackled by girls. I know that's right. See, when I was younger, I used to actually play football. Yes, back in my own apartment complex. I was known as the tomboy, and I was always playing football with the other boys, and I was tackling and being tackled. My first fight was with a guy. So yeah, that's just a little bit of story time with Bay. As we proceed, number six, 1967 NFL Championship, Packers 21, Cowboys 17. In negative 13-degree weather, both teams braved the elements with a trip to Super Bowl two at stake. I need to learn my Roman numerals. I missed that class, I guess, or that part of would that be math? Let me just read. The Cowboys took their first lead when running back Dan Reeves hit Lance Retzel on a 50-yard bomb in the fourth quarter. With a second consecutive Lance Retzel on a 50-yard bomb, sorry, NFL title at stake, Packers quarterback Bart Starr methodically drove Green Bay to the Cowboys' 1-yard line with under 20 seconds left. With no timeouts left, Vince Lombardi decided to go for the win instead of a tie. Instead of giving the ball to his running back, Starr insisted kept the ball while following Jerry Kramer across the goal line for one of the most dramatic scores in league history. Hmm. Number five, 1981 AFC Divisional Round, Chargers 41, Dolphins 38. No, T. Dan Fultz in the Charger Power offense sprinted out to the 24-0 lead before Miami took a 38-31 lead on a series of crazy plays that included a hook and lateral for a score just before halftime. Trailing late in regulation, the Chargers tied the score when Fultz overthrown pass for tight end Kellen Winslow, who needed to be carried off the field at the game's conclusion, forced overtime when he blocked the Dolphins' game-winning field goal attempt at the end of regulation. His clutch catches in overtime set up Rolf, Shaggy, Burnish 29-yard field goal. He said, "You stupid, that tomboy story is priceless." Yes, I am so serious. I was definitely a tomboy back in the day. I mean, I still am. I am a sneaker junkie. Mhm. I love all of the latest Jordans and some of the old ones too. But I very seldomly wear heels only when me and Mr. Bay go out, like on a date or something. Other than that, I mean, still, even when we go out on a date, I might throw on a pair of Tims. But yeah, I've kind of got into. I have a lot of masculine energy. I've kind of got a little bit more feminine as I've gotten older. But yeah, even whenever Mr. Bay comes for his segment, we're supposed to have a little podcast segment coming up soon. He will tell y'all all about the stories of when I was younger. I'm pretty sure he's gonna enjoy to give y'all the exclusive tea on Dia Bay. Now let's go ahead and listen. Hopefully, it will not pop up on the mid screen, and we can listen. Crap. Of course, it didn't do that. How about we just keep going? Number 4, Super Bowl. I want to say 62. Giants 17, Patriots 14. The greatest upset win since the Jets win over the Colts in Super Bowl 3. The Giants spoiled the Patriots' dream of the 1900 season when El Manny hit Plaxico Burress for the game-winning score with 35 seconds left. The score was set up by Manning's insane completion to David Tyree, who famously caught the ball by using his helmet. The Giants' defense put constant pressure on Tom Brady, who threw just one touchdown pass after tossing 50 during the regular season. Number 3, 2022 AFC divisional round. 2022, I don't know what that shit say. Chiefs 42, Bills 36 OT. This game had 3 lead chart changes in the final 2 minutes of regulation before Butker forced overtime after Mahomes moved the Chiefs' offense 44 yards in 10 seconds. Kansas City won the game when Mahomes hit Travis Kelce on an 8-yard score 4 minutes into overtime. The Chiefs survived a gallant effort by Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who threw 4 touchdown passes to Gabriel Davis that included the go-ahead score with 13 seconds left. Along with throwing 4 combined 7 touchdowns, Allen and Mahomes were also their team's leading rushers with 68 and 69 yards, respectively. Number 2, Super Bowl XLIX, because I ain't even about to work my brain on that. Patriots 28, Seahawks 24. Let's get into it. Ranked as the greatest Super Bowl of all time by CBS Sports senior writer Will Brinson, the Patriots overcame a 10-point deficit on 2 Tom Brady touchdown passes. Seattle appeared to be on their way to a second straight title when Russell Wilson hit Jermaine Kearse on an incredible 33-yard completion. 1 yard away from the game-winning score, Seattle attempted a pass instead of giving ball to Marshawn Lynch. The decision backfired as Wilson's pass was picked off by Malcolm Butler, an undrafted rookie who had been on the receiving ends of Kearse's crazy catch 2 plays earlier. All right, and the number 1, 1981 NFC title game, 49ers 28, Cowboys 27. Down 27-21, Joe Montana led the 49ers on an 89-yard drive that was punctuated by his game-winning touchdown pass to Dwight Clark. The touchdown, which lives in NFL lore as the catch, sealed San Francisco's first Bowl berth, while subsequently ended Tom Landry and the Cowboys' reign as the NFL powerhouse. With victory in hand, Montana was approached by Cowboys Pro Bowl pass rusher Ed Too Tall Jones, one of the defenders who had pressured Montana on his game-winning touchdown pass. "You just beat America's team," Jones said to Montana. "Well," Joe Cool replied, "you can sit on your ass with all the rest of the American and watch the Super Bowl." Now, let's see if this will play. Yeah, babe. Period.
Just being from Dallas, Candlestick Park seemed like such a cool locale right on the water.
You know, we had these 4 tickets split up between my dad and his brother. So my dad would only be able to take one kid each time. My brother Matthew, the oldest, was there for the catch game. We all watched on TV while we knew they were sitting there.
Yeah, I remember just watching that game at my dad's office with my dad, my brothers, and some friends.
Before the game, I'm driving. This guy starts swearing at me. I think this dude's about to lose it. And then I start to read his lips. Kill Dallas, kill Dallas. And I was sitting there going, oh, I get it now. It's our day. It's our time.
49ers and Cowboys are the 2 best teams in the league. Whoever win this game will win the Super Bowl. We felt we could go in there and beat them. Going on the road didn't phase us at all.
They were confident. They thought, like a lot of people thought, that it was their game.
Steve, man, wide open. Cosby, touchdown.
And yet, it was a game going back and forth. There were so many great plays.
There goes Montana back to pass it or a rush. He escapes it. He throws it to the end zone. Open man is Clark. A 49er touchdown.
They caught us off guard with their game plan, the way they mixed the run with the pass.
This may very well be the last drive of the season by the 49ers. They start at their 11-yard line.
We had our nickel in, and they had to drive the length of the field. And they kept hitting us with runs, and they caught us off guard. They really did.
They're crossing up the Cowboys. Mr. Walsh is making some good calls here.
I didn't see the catch. And I didn't see the catch, but I heard the catch.
3rd and 3. We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Short corner. Right corner.
It was like we were just screaming. The rest of my family that was down there in Southern California, screaming.
It was just that kind of heartache of, gosh, did that just happen? And how did he catch that? And, it was just right on the tips of his fingers.
I still get chills thinking about it.
I didn't say one word to Joe Montana. After Dwight caught the ball, nobody was upset on our sideline. We still felt we could win that game.
We have 51 seconds left. And the Cowboys need a field goal to win. Danny White back to throw. He sets, he looks, he throws long over the middle, and it's caught. It's caught down to the 45 of San Francisco. Derek Wright made the tackle on Pearson.
To close it out with, to me, one of the great plays was Eric Wright pulling down Drew Pearson, and then us coming up with another play right after that.
Fumble, and the ball belongs to San Francisco, and they're going to the Super Bowl.
Big moment for our team, a big moment for the city, a big moment for the game of football.
I didn't bore you too much, did I, Bang? With that insert clip. But I do want to, and I think I'm going to actually do like I guess a little appreciation, greatest moments of, now that I've showed that, and I'm going to show this coming up, of my cousin, and maybe do like a short little phone interview or whatever, because he's busy, but I know I can get him on the phone for an interview. I do want to show a clip of his for one of his greatest catches that is still talked about during Super Bowl. I want to say this is Super Bowl 66. And it's Giants wide receiver Hakeem Nicks makes a great grab on an 18-yard pass from Eli Manning in the second quarter. Let's see here. How can I swear, with this screen sharing shit, it's so aggravating. Pulling up from one screen to the next, to the next, to the next. It is quite, it's hard trying to multitask, and I am not a multitasker. Mhm. Let's see. Yep. All right.
2 decades had passed since the Giants upset.
Now, that is not the one that I was thinking about. I think it was the Hail Mary catch that I'm thinking about. However, we'll get into that when I do, like, I guess an appreciation video of his. Oh, I'm having the juices is flowing. Time to get into some things. But yeah, babe. See what I have next on the list here of things I wanted to talk about for our sports talk lunch break. Let's see. And excuse me for the dead air. But you know what? How about we go ahead and pay a bill? Yeah, I think y'all like that. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and if you haven't already liked this video or subscribed, go ahead and do so right now, babe. Ready, set, go. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the NFL divisional round, fact or fiction. Best game, best weekend ever, best game ever, Tom Brady's last game ever. Let's talk about it. Let's pillow talk about it. Honestly, I don't know what to say. Not even sure I slept last night. And this is Sunday's night. Or ever will again. My heart's still racing. And shout out to the NFL.com. My head's still spinning. You gotta love sports. The divisional round is routinely touted as the best weekend in football. So was this the best ever? Sounds like the perfect way to begin a divisional round edition of Fact or Fiction. Sheen 9 style. Number one, best divisional round ever. Fact, I subscribe to the idea floated above. The divisional round is the best weekend in football. For my money, it's the best 2-day event in sports, bar none. And this divisional round was indeed the best additional ever. I mean, seriously, what more could you want? The first three games saw three road teams win with tie breaking field goals as the final seconds ticked off the clock. Evan Money Mac McPherson hit a 52-yard bomb to knock off the top-seeded Titans and give the Bengals their first road playoff victory in franchise history. Robbie Gould eliminated the top-seeded Packers with a 45-yard boot in the snow globe. That was Lambeau Field. Matt Gay converted a 30-yarder to stave off complete embarrassment for the Rams and abruptly end the Buccaneers' repeat effort. And then, as a gargantuan cherry on top, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen engaged in a legendary duel that appeared to end three separate times in the final 2 minutes of regulation before the Chiefs finally punctured their ticket to a fourth straight AFC title game in overtime. Are you not entertained? All four divisional round games ended with no time remaining in regulation or in overtime, the most such finishes ever in an entire postseason per NFL research. The four contestants were decided by a combined total of 15 points. That's an average margin of victory of 3.8 points, the lowest figure ever in a playoff round with at least 4 games. Truly historic stuff, people, especially that finale Sunday evening. Number 2, the Chiefs over Bills. Best game ever. Let me sell why this is a fact. Even before the divisional round kicked off, I thought the winner of the Bills Chiefs would be the Super Bowl favorite. Then on Saturday, both number one seeds were eliminated, fully accentuating my initial instinct. Entering the game, we knew it would feature two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, as well as a pair of league's finest head coaches, top-notch coordinators on both sides. Check. Explosive playmakers in each huddle. Check. Spectacular setting in one of the sport's loudest stadiums. Check plus. We all knew this would be a heavyweight title, but we didn't know it'd be an Ali Frazier masterpiece. Truthfully, this was a marvelous game through the first 3.5 quarters, with the budding AFC rivals going back and forth in a charged environment. But it was that closing stretch that took this game from marvelous to mind-blowing. Just look at the drive log of the final 5 possessions. Bills touchdown, 17 plays, 75 yards, 7 and 1. Chiefs touchdown, 5 plays, 75 yards, 0 and 52. Bills touchdown, 6 plays, 75 yards. Oh, actually, that's 49 seconds. Those are seconds. Y'all know, babe, be having her blind moments. Chiefs field goal, 3 plays, 44 yards, 13 seconds. Chiefs touchdowns, 8 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. The teams combined to score 25 points in the final 2 minutes of regulation. It was the first playoff game in NFL history, with 3 go-ahead touchdowns scored in the final 2 minutes of regulation. Just check out the quarterback numbers from the 2-minute warning through overtime. For the game, Allen and Mahomes combined to put up 844 total yards with 8 touchdowns and 0 giveaways. This was freaking art. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that Bills wide receiver Gabriel Davis set a postseason record with 4 touchdown receptions that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce piled up a combined 19 grabs for a 246-yard and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. I could go on forever, but I must stop, just like the game eventually had to. The NFL overtime format was unfair to the Bills. Look, this is fiction, and that's saying something coming from me. It's pretty well documented how much I adore Josh Allen. Going back to the 2018 NFL draft, I believe that in his raw talent, when many figured his talent was just too raw, and seeing him go out and play like he did on Sunday in both postseason games, racking up 9 touchdown passes against 0 picks, was further validation to those of us who've been on the bandwagon all along. The guy's a superstar, and yes, it stinks that he didn't touch the ball in overtime. But Buffalo should have won this game in regulation. The Bills needed to squib kick with 13 seconds to go. Take time off the clock and limit Mahomes to one play from scrimmage. It's elementary, and a little defense would have been nice. There are 3 phases of football. All apply, and there's coaching. The Bills didn't get screwed by the overtime rule. They made their own bed. Now, would I like to see a little tweakage of overtime format? Sure, but nothing as drastic as many of the overcooked suggestions flying around. In the past, I offered this solution: no flip of the coin to begin overtime. Home team gets the ball first. Everyone knows it. It's not funky, flucky, fluky, fluky. It can impact strategy in fourth quarter, and in the postseason, home field advantage is earned. So it's just a reward. And I agree. At times, you know, the kind of coin flipping thing is a little dated at this point. They need to do something differently to kind of spice it up. And also, everybody loves controversy and speculation and conspiracies. So I think that if they would allow the home team to have the ball first, or maybe allow the guest to have the ball first. You're a guest in my home. I serve you food, I get your drink, I ask you if you need anything. So when you're a guest, it's kind of like I'm catering to you. So I shouldn't think that the home team should have the ball first. I believe that the guests should have the ball first, and that will cause a little bit of controversy in the NFL. People will say, "Oh, they only won because they had the ball first." Well, it was cheap because I understand controversy sells, and I don't think that the ratings for NFL will ever be low. I think that is going to always be America's favorite sport. So I say they should go for it. They should really, really go for it, in my opinion. Let's see. Tom Brady knows his future. Bear with me, guys. Fiction. We saw multiple reports last week, including a Sunday's dispatch from NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. That's Brady's undecided on his future. In a wake of last night's season-ending loss, Bruce Arians said, "We'll see Brady himself." Well, judging by his post-game comments, as well as the demeanor and tone with which they were delivered, one thing is for sure: the 44-year-old has some serious thinking to do. This was a challenging season for Brady and the Buccaneers. Injuries really hurt the defending champs. So did Antonio Brown's circus, and yet Brady is still playing at the GOAT level. Okay. At the abbreviated GOAT, greatest of all time, honey, having led the league in passing yards 5,316, in passing touchdowns 43. The Bucks still won the NFC South and tied the Packers for the best record in football. Selfishly, I never want to stop watching him, but the man has logged 22 NFL seasons. He's won 7 Super Bowls and played in 3 others, 3 regular season MVPs, 5 Super Bowl MVPs. If he's satisfied with everything he's accomplished, well, he should be. If he wants to move on to the next stage in his life, totally understandable. It just won't surprise me in the least if he's backing in training camp when he turns 45 in August. At this moment, nobody knows what's next, not even Brady himself. How many more do we? Okay, not that much, because I'm ready to get into some things. Okay. Aaron Rodgers just played his final game as a Packer. When I spoke to Rodgers on the Adam Sheen podcast a few weeks ago, I asked him whether his perspective had changed on Packers brass. If maybe the grass might not be greener outside of Green Bay. Now, shout out to Green Bay. That is my favorite team. The grass is greener where you water it. I agree, Rogers responded. Well, Rogers didn't respond. I agree. I responded. I agree. I really believe that and know that that's an adage to dissuade people from going out and taking risks and chances. And I think that where you spend your time and energy and what you choose to water will always be the greenest part of your life. From one of the first days, Packers GM Brian and I sat down and got on the same page, and it's been a really nice fall and winter. I appreciate his approach, how it's been, and it's been very meaningful to me. So I'm thankful for that relationship, where it is at this point, and that's made my life that much more enjoyable. So I got to give Brian a lot of credit for meeting me in the middle. After that conversation, I was convinced that there was a real shoot for this marriage to continue. But admittedly, at the time, I was thinking Rodgers would not only be winning his second consecutive MVP award in February, but preparing to play in his second Super Bowl. Now, in the wake of Saturday night's brutal loss, I'm not sure. Losing like that, playing like that, getting zero support from the worst special teams in the game. It's tough. The Packers are already way over the cap for 2022, with Devontae Adams set for a free agency. Number 6, Joe Burrow is the toughest quarterback this postseason. I had to skip some of that. That's a fact, Jets. Stacked a career high 9 times on Saturday. The second year signal caller was never rattled. He never looked flustered. Joe Cool just kept punching the ghost of Cincinnati's past directly in the face. 1 week after leading the Beagles to their first playoff win in 31 years, he secured the franchise's first road playoff win ever, knocking out the AFC number 1 seed in the process. Burrow's connection with Jamar Chase is omnipresent, dazzling as it was in the LSU's national title run. And I love how he gets T. Higgins and CJ Uzma going too. Of course, Cincinnati will be a substantial underdog in Kansas City on Championship Sunday. But Burrow just beat Mahomes with an epic performance earlier this month. In 2 seasons, this cat has completely changed the culture of expectation in Cincy. It's a thing of beauty. This team oozes swagger, but with a quarterback who's tough as nails, it's just empty bombast. Burrow's Bengals are for real. They're here to stay as contenders. Lord have mercy. The Titans cannot win with Ryan Tannehill. Factual statement. If Ryan Tannehill is the answer, I love to know the question. 3 awful picks, with one coming on his first snap of the day and one on his last. The Titans were playing at home as the number 1 seed. They got 140 rushing yards at a healthy 5.2, piled up 9 sacks, and yet Tennessee's one and done. This is why I never took the cheese on the Titans, especially once Derrick Henry broke his foot. Tannehill just cannot function as the man. Jimmy Garoppolo saves his job for 2022. Straight up fiction, perhaps. Yeah, Garoppolo ultimately came away with a playoff win at a snowy Lambeau Field, but there were at least 6 oh no Jimmy moments. The 49ers didn't score an offensive touchdown. They had 212 yards, with the quarterback supplying 131 passing yards and a ghastly red zone pick. San Francisco's elite coaching and toughness won this game. Special teams beat the Packers. Deebo Samuel beat the Packers. Last but not least, the Rams will finally get over the 49ers hump. This is happening fact. I know Kyle Shanahan always beats Sean McVay. I know he just did it in week 18. Shanahan's 6th straight win over McVay. I know the 49ers just earned road playoff wins over the Cowboys and Packers. I also know that the Rams just narrowly avoided a collapse for the ages. They just stared infamy in the face, tempted fate in the game against Tom Brady, and lived to tell about it. That kind of near-death experience give you new life, not to mention the Rams are more well-rounded, more talented, and just plain better than the Niners. Despite McVay's 3-7 record against Shanahan, LA's head man is a superb coach. Yes, he was way too conservative in the second half on Sunday. Fumbles and miscues killed the Rams too, but they survived, and they survived because of their quarterback. Matthew Stafford saved the season. That's why the Rams made the trade. That's why the Rams are going to be second straight team to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. So how did you like that little excerpt there? The NFL divisional round, fact or fiction, best weekend game ever? What do you say? Was it the best weekend ever? Did they have the best game this weekend ever? They about to be all tongue-tied and twisted. I swear, every time I start to talking. All right. Let me see something here. Go ahead and get you a snack, refill your drink, babe. If you need to throw away your lunch, go ahead and do that. I'm going to get me some water so I can throatin the coatin. Coatin the throatin. Okay, babe. Did you get yourself situated? And I just want to take out the time to shout out Facebook. my Facebook crew, if y'all be, catching me live, I'd be more focused on YouTube because that's where I'm actually building my platform. But I also want to make sure that I stream to my other platforms so that, they're like my babies. YouTube is my head baby. I guess I have a favorite baby. YouTube being my favorite baby. Then I have Facebook and then I have Twitter. So I stream on all three platforms individually. Yes, individually. Your girl is pinky in the brain over here. It's really not that hard. So, people make things harder than what it really is. But it's quite easy. StreamYard makes the streaming streamless. So I want to say shout out to my Facebook gang. I received a message from somebody reviewing it on Facebook. So shout out to Facebook and shout out to my Twitter gang too. I actually get a lot of views on Twitter, which is surprising. Sometimes I get more views on Twitter than I do on YouTube. Maybe I need to put a little bit more focus. But you can find me on all three platforms at Pillow Talk with Bae. Facebook, you actually have to type out the with, and but either or, you can once you start typing in Pillow Talk and then you hit that W, I'm gonna pull up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Okay, so make sure y'all follow me on all platforms. Okay, bye. Okay. So let's see here. What I want to talk about next before I get into what I really want to talk about. I try to make sure that I'm here for you guys, for my fellows, and going over things. Maybe I have a day watcher that is into sports that can help me break down this and present it to my audience better. I would greatly appreciate your service. Hell, let me go ahead and show you how you can contact me just in case. Okay, bye. Mm, Here we go. So, yes, if you have some suggestions on how I can make Sports Talk Tuesday better, please hit me up behind the scenes. The quickest way to get a hold of me is via Instagram DM, and that's Pillow. I'm fancy. Pillow. Pillow. Pillow Talk underscore with Bae. Or you can email me at pillowtalkwithbae@gmail.com. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the next thing. Let's see. Now, I apologize for the ad. Y'all know how things is with the ads. They always take forever. Come on now, my baby got shit to do. And the ice is just the making. Damn, babe, why you ain't telling me you couldn't hear me? Now this whole time I'm just running my damn mouth. That's how we doing now. I know somebody out there watching. Anywho, and I hate this little thing, text thing that comes up. If anybody knows how to remove that, let me know. So I don't know where left off at, when I muted my damn self. However, I said I wanted to really get into this. I also said if there's anybody that has, I think I got to that part. I muted myself on the whole video. But yes, if anyone has any suggestions, I'm just going to repeat it. Any suggestions of how, not anyone, specifically a male, if you are a female that know how to, I guess, know sports and know how I can make Sports Talk Tuesday better, please let me know. I would highly appreciate that. Let me go ahead and exit some of these things off so that which color will stop popping up because it's getting on my nerves. All right. So, like I was saying, when I was in high school, I thought about going to college and I thought about getting, maybe possibly being a psychologist because I like to get to know people. And as everyone say, I stay diagnosing everyone. However, I don't have a license, but it is something that I am interested in. I'm interested in how the brain works. I'm interested in science, period, and yes, the brain science, the science of the brain as well. So I thought about it when I was in high school, and then I said, that's too much schooling. I'm not into schooling like that. If I could just, answer a couple of questions and they feel like I could be a psychologist, then boom, put me in it. Put me in the game, coach. Um, but it's not that easy. So then I thought about, well, I could, after I got out of high school, I thought about, well, I could be a counselor to teenagers, to help them, to let them know that somebody is there. As a teenager, I ran across a lot of people, a lot of my friends that just didn't have the support that they desperately needed. So, here at Pillow Talk with Bae, you will see me talk about mental health a lot because it is important to me. Letting someone know that you're here for them is important to me, as well as being there for someone is important to me as well. So, yeah, I mentioned this before. Maybe I got muted. I muted myself. I stay diagnosing people. As my friends would say, girl, you stay diagnosing somebody, and I do. Y'all won't see this on this y'all won't see that on this platform, but it piques my interest. So with that being said, CTE is becoming very, very popular, prominent in the sports field. Um, example, football. And I wanted to get into a little bit of pillow talk about it, um, to go over the symptoms and causes, diagnosis and treatments, and what do you guys think about it? I want to get your input on it, Bae. Of is this some? I guess this is why they now are doing flag football for our youth. But could CTE also be with children that are not, necessarily getting in the football field or in sports, but being beaten as a child? Or could this just be another excuse as to people not being held accountable for their actions? Quote unquote, mean people are not being held accountable for their actions and they're just diagnosing them as having CTE. Now, I'll go over CTE you cannot be diagnosed with CTE technically now until you are dead. You have to go inside your brain and do all these scannings and taking out your brain and picking it apart. So they can't do that until you're dead. However, there are signs in people that show CTE. But I'll go ahead and get into it. All right, babe, is you ready or not? Overview: chronic, traumatic, and I'm gonna need Siri to help me out with this one.
Encephalopathy.
Y'all heard her or him. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, is the term used to describe brain degeneration likely caused by repeated head traumas. CTE is a diagnosis made only at autopsy by studying sections of the brain. CTE is a rare disorder that is not yet well understood. CTE is not related to the immediate consequences of a late life episode of head trauma. CTE has a complex relationship with head traumas such as persistent post-concussive symptoms and second impact syndrome that occur earlier in life. Experts are still trying to understand how repeated head traumas, including how many head injuries and the severity of those injuries, and other factors might contribute to the change in the brain that result in CTE. CTE has been found in the brains of people who play football and other contact sports, including boxing. It may also occur in military personnel who are exposed to explosive blasts. Some signs and symptoms of CTE are thought to include difficulties with thinking, cognition, and emotion, physical problems, and other behaviors. It's thought that these develop years to decades after head trauma occurs. CTE cannot be made as a diagnosis during life except in those rare individuals with high risk exposures. Researchers do not yet know the frequency of CTE in the population and do not understand the causes. There is no cure for CTE. Researchers are currently developing diagnostics biomarkers for CTE, but none has been validated yet. So as we, read over that and you listen to this very sexual, seductive voice of mine, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you think, when I think about this and I think about the trauma, the head traumas that people who've played boxing and have played, or not played, but participated in boxing and who have played in football, it's a lot of head trauma that goes on constantly, banging up against stuff. But then I think about non-sport activities. And I think about, children that may have been abused as, kids, or maybe a baby that fell off the bed one too many times because of either the baby was just active, crazily active, which now they got three kids, so I know sometimes them babies will leap off the bed and dive straight forward, boom, or just careless parents and not, being tentative to their children and the baby just boom, boom, and falling off the bed. I'm wondering if that can, cause CTE in small kids. But, you never know. We come across people in our everyday lives when they, you're like, God, this person is mean, or they always got an attitude, or they're always just, they're different, to say the least. And you want to know, well, you probably don't be wanting to know, but a type of person like me be wondering, like, hmm, is this, something that could be associated with CTE? Or is this just another coding that we're putting over people these days instead of holding them accountable for their actions? Now, now that we asked that question, let's go to the symptoms, okay? So that, like, babe, you can identify someone you know. There are no specific symptoms that have been clearly linked to CTE. Some of the possible signs and symptoms of CTE can occur in many other conditions, and the few people with proved CTE signs and symptoms have included cognitive, behavioral, mood, and motor changes. Cognitive impairment, difficulty thinking, memory loss, problem with planning, organization, and carrying out tasks. Behavioral changes, impulsive behavior, and aggression, mood disorders, depression or apathy, emotional instability, substance misuse, suicidal thoughts or behaviors, motor symptoms, Parkinson, Siri,
Parkinsonism.
thank you, motor neuron disease. CTE symptoms don't develop right after a head injury, but experts believe that they might develop over years or decades after repeated head trauma. Okay, so they're saying just repeatedly getting head trauma, beating the head or falling, that could do that. All right. Experts currently believe that CTE symptoms appear in two forms: in early life between the late 20s and early 30s. So it can't even be with the children. See, this is what while reading is so fundamental. Knock to my damn self. So, in early life, between the late 20s and early 30s, the first form of CTE may cause mental health and behavioral issues, including depression, anxiety, impulsivity, and aggression. The second form of CTE is thought to cause symptoms later on in life, around age 60. These signs and symptoms include memory and thinking problems that are likely to progress to dementia. The full list of signs to look for in people with CTE at autopsy is still unknown. It is unclear what kind of symptoms, if any, CTE may cause during life. Little is known, little, little is known right now about how CTE progresses. When to see a doctor. CTE is thought to develop over many years after repeated brain injuries that may be mild or severe. However, see your doctor in case of the following: suicidal thoughts. Researchers show that people with CTE may be at increased risk of suicide. If you have thoughts of hurting yourself, call 911, your local emergency number, or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And I did list that number right here in my little banner, and it is also in the description box below as well as their website, okay? And Bay is also available if you need somebody to talk to, okay? And y'all know how to reach me. Head injury. See your doctor if you had a head injury, even if you didn't need an emergency care. If your child has received a head injury that concerns you, call your child's doctor immediately. Depending on the signs and symptoms, your doctor may recommend seeking immediate medical care. Memory problems. See your doctor if you have any concerns about your memory or other thinking, cognitive, or behavior problems. Personality or mood changes. See your doctor if depression, anxiety, aggression, impulsivity occur. All right. So when we think about things like that, and there's see, this is why I say it could happen at childhood, because they're saying if even if your child receives a head injury, they're telling you to contact the doctor immediately, even if you feel like there's, no doctor needed. So they can't necessarily, maybe it's just the signs that you see during the 20s and 30s. So okay, now I can see that. So symptoms and signs of CTE will be shown during those years. So then you get year 40s and 50s are good, and then 60s, that's when you have the memory loss and dementia. So first, the person is an asshole and they have they have impulsivity. They have impulses. And I'm laughing because, not that it's funny, but I just think about, things of you have you think about the person and you see the signs, and in the 20s and 30s you have this person that doesn't even know probably what's going on, but they're being impulsive, they're being mean, agitated, they're having substance abuse issues and things of that nature. And then once they get older, then they don't even remember that they did the things in their 20s and 30s. Like, my heart goes out to individuals like that. I can only imagine the struggle that they could possibly be going through, as a young adult in their 20s and 30s, and as well as a, I was about to say a grown up, but an elder in their 60s and they don't even remember, just to add a little bit of lightness. Y'all know Bay is silly, so I'm going to laugh a lot. Anyhow, the causes. Repetitive head trauma is likely the cause of CTE. Football and ice hockey players, as well as military personnel serving in war zones, have been the focus of most CTE studies, though other sports and factors such as physical abuse can lead to repetitive head injuries. However, not all athletes and not everyone who experiences repeated concussions, including military personnel, go on to develop CTE. Some studies have shown no increased incidence of CTE in people exposed to repeated head injuries. In brains with CTE, researchers have found that there is a buildup of a protein called tau, and I want to make sure that I'm saying that right. Siri. Mhm. Tau around the blood vessels. Tau buildup in CTE is different from accumulations of tau found in Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. CTE is thought to cause areas of brain to waste away, atrophy, atrophy. I knew that. Injuries to the sections of nerve cells that can conduct electrical impulses affect communication between cells. Oh my God. It's possible that people with CTE may show signs of another. That's why I should only read things I know how to read. Neurodegenerative disease, including Alzheimer's disease. This is why I ain't go to school, y'all. Lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, Parkinson's disease, or frontotemporal lobar degeneration, which is frontotemporal dementia. Jesus, I'm getting a frontal headache. Risk factors. Repeated exposures to traumatic brain injury is thought to increase the risk of CTE, but experts are still learning about the risk factors. Prevention. There is no treatment for CTE, but CTE may be prevented because it is associated recurrent concussions. Individuals who have had one concussion are more likely to have another head injury. The current recommendation to prevent CTE is to reduce mild traumatic brain injuries and prevent additional injury after a concussion. So, what's your thoughts on that thing? Let's hope that the CTA ain't preventing you from thinking. Right now. Just kidding. I have to make some kind of light in the situation because when heavy topics are being spoke about, it is hard to talk about them, right? But here with Pillow Talk with Bay, I try to make things easier for us to talk about. Um, but no, I look at this and as I read over it and all these long, hard ass words, and I think to myself, like, you know, you putting your child on the football field or in the boxing ring, 'cause boxing was important in my family growing up. Well, not me growing up, but the generation before mine's, it was important. And they're putting your kids in the boxing ring, or you put them out on the football field, and you just wanting to help their mold their future, right? But you could be possibly putting them at risk for things in the future. And we don't think about those. Or it's not that we put them at risk for brain injuries, head injuries, things of that nature, but we're just, I don't know. I'm trying to form my sentence properly. I got like a million things going on in my head right now. I just, before you put your kids out there, just make sure you go over things. Is this going to be healthy for my kids in the future? We're not always thinking about the future. We're always thinking about the right now. Okay. Now, you think about the kids' future. You say you want to set them up for greatness, right? But you don't think about the negative impact. Well, and it's okay to not, I guess, because you want to be positive, but also you want to make sure that all around you're making the best decision for your child. And for the people that are just beating on their kids, you'll get beat up in hell. You'll suffer a long life in hell. So sounds good. You want to beat your kid? You burn in hell for eternity. We're gonna go to the diagnosis and treatment. They say the worst people live the longest life. Now they don't live a great life, but they live the longest. Have y'all ever heard that saying before? Yeah, the worst people live the longest, and the good die young. It's sad when you think about it, but that's really, as you sit back and you look at things, that's really how it is. But guess what? That long life that they live is a long, miserable life. I promise you that. Anyhow, let's go to the diagnosis. There is currently no way to diagnose CTE. It can only be suspected in people who are at high risk due to repeated head trauma over the course of years during their sports or military experiences. A diagnosis requires evidence of degeneration of brain tissue and deposits of tau and other proteins in the brain that can be seen upon inspection after death, which is an autopsy. Some researchers are actively trying to find a test for CTE that can be used while people are alive. Others continue to study the brain of deceased individuals who may have had CTE, such as football players. The hope is to eventually use a range of neuropsychological tests They getting better at reading big words. Brain imaging, such as specialized MRI tests and biomarkers to diagnose CTE. In particular, imaging and amyloid and tau proteins will aid in diagnosis. PTE scans, a positive a positron emission tomography (PET) scan use a low level radio. Oh shit! Here we go. I was about to switch y'all over to the PORN site. No, I'm just kidding. Oh God. Researchers are actively working to develop PT markers to detect tau abnormalities associated with neurodegenerative disease in people who are living. Researchers are also working on develop tracers that target and bind it to tau buildup and other proteins on PET scans. And then they have other tests. There's little research on plasma or cerebral spinal fluid to diagnose long term. Now, go to treatment. CT is a progressive degenerative brain disease, which there is no treatment. But don't lose hope, you guys. For people that think they may have CTE. Um, you're probably where to prepare for appointment because if you feel like you do have it, please reach out to your primary care physician. Okay, you'll probably start seeing your family doctor, who may refer you to a neurologist, psychiatrist, psychologist, or other specialists to further evaluation. Because appointments can be brief, there's also often a lot to discuss. Prepare before your appointment. Be aware of any pre appointment restrictions. Write down any symptoms. Write down key personal information, which includes major stresses or recent life changes. All right. Make a list of all medications, prescribed or non prescribed. And make a list of your other medical conditions that you're currently being treated for. And take a family member with you. Take someone that you can trust that will actually, be supportive of you through this journey because it will be a journey for you. Preparing a list of questions will help the most of your time with your doctor. Prioritize questions for the most important to least important. Some basic questions to ask the doctor include what is likely causing symptoms? Are there other possible causes for symptoms? What kinds of tests are needed? Is my condition likely temporary or chronic? How will it likely progress over time? What's the best course of action? What are the alternatives to the primary approach being suggested? I have other medical issues. How can they be managed together? Are there any clinical trials or experimental treatments I should consider? Are there any restrictions? If medication is being prescribed, is there a potential interaction with other medications that I am taking? Are there any brochures or other printed material that I can take home with me? What websites do you recommend? Do I need to see a specialist? What will that cost? And will my insurance cover it? And if you've had a concussion, some basic questions to ask your doctor include: what is the risk for future concussions? When will it be safe to return to competitive sports? When will it be safe to resume vigorous exercise? Is it safe to return to school or work? Is it safe to drive a car or operate power equipment? And something that you may expect from your doctor may ask you a variety of questions. What symptoms are you experiencing? Any trouble with word use, memory, focus, personality, or directions? When did symptoms begin? Are symptoms steadily worsening, or are they sometimes better and sometimes worse? How severe are symptoms? Have you stopped doing certain activities, such as managing finances or shopping because of difficulty thinking through them? What, if anything, seems to improve or worsen symptoms? Have you noticed any changes in the way you tend to react to people or events? Do you have more energy than usual, less than usual, or about the same? Have you noticed any trembling or trouble walking? And questions that you may receive from your doctor related to your health history is: have you had your hearing and vision tested recently? Is there any family history of dementia or other neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's, ALS, or Parkinson's disease? What medications are you taking? Are you taking any vitamins or supplements? Do you drink alcohol? Turn up. How much? What other medical conditions are you being treated for? And if you had a concussion, your doctor may ask you questions related to the events surrounding the injury. So look for questions from your doctor pertaining to: have you had any previous head injuries? Do you play contact sports? How did you get this injury? What symptoms did you experience immediately after the injury? Do you remember what happened right? Did you lose consciousness after the injury? Did you have seizures? Questions related to physical signs and symptoms. Have you experienced nausea and, vitamin vomiting since the injury? Have you been experiencing headaches? How soon after the injury did the headache start? Have you noticed any difficulty with physical coordination since the injury? Have you noticed any sensitivity or problems with your vision and hearing? Have you noticed changes in your sense of smell or taste? How's your appetite? Have you felt lethargic or easily fatigued since the injury? Are you having trouble sleeping or waking from sleep? Do you have any dizziness or vertigo? And questions that's related to cognitive or emotional signs and symptoms. Or have you had any problems with memory or concentration since the injury? Have you had any mood changes, including irritability, anxiety, or depression? Have you had any thoughts about hurting yourself or others? Have you noticed or have others commented that your personality has changed? And what other signs or symptoms are you concerned about? All right. So those are some of the things that you may experience, some of the questions that you may experience from your doctor if you feel like you or someone you love or maybe has had the brain injury, CTE. Now, I want to switch gears over from reading to watching because Bay is tired of reading. Okay. But before I be tired of reading, let's go ahead and read this ad and pay a bill. I'll be enjoying myself too much on here. My bad, y'all. If I can find the goddamn ad. Here we go. Okay, so a lot of a lot of famous football players are being, are not being, but let me pull up one thing real quick. Yeah, I apologize. But we're starting to see CTE in a lot of our football players now these days. Um, they're killing their families. They're being serial killers, murderers, and that's why I want to bring awareness to this because a lot of our, I think this is not only for football players. I think this is also pertains to our youth as well. And I say that because a lot of our Black brothers and sisters and other races as well are being locked up in a system and doing things because of, I feel like, mental disorders. And they're not being treated because of the stigma in the community that we have that if you're diagnosed with something, you're crazy. And that's not true. Like, I hate that stigma and I wish that we would get away from it. Um, like, even when I hear people on YouTube calling other YouTubers crazy, I just be sitting back. Sometimes I may say something. I'm like, no, don't call them crazy because they could be, going through, they may be having an episode. They may be going through something mentally. They may be undiagnosed. You just never know. So, when people start talking about certain folks on YouTube and their mental disorders, I kind of just say, yeah, I don't like to touch on those things because I don't think that's right and I don't think that's fair. And I feel like we need to get away from the stigma of that's crazy. That person is crazy, just because they have a mental issue. Am I making sense today? Ah, but I wanted to talk about some of the football players that have been confirmed since they've passed away that they have CTE. We have Philip Adams. And I can bring this up on the screen. Yeah, Philip Adams, George Andre, Jovan Fletcher, Forrest Blue, Bill Bryant, Lou Carpenter, Ronnie Cabanis, Dwight Clark, Daniel Cochico, Lou Creekmer, Art DiCarlo, Shane Dornett, Dave Dorson, Pete Dorenko, Grant Fiesel, Ray Esterlin, Frank Gifford, Cookie Gilchrist, John Grimsley, Jason Hairston, Chris Henry, Aaron Hernandez, which is one of the most recent popular ones that was diagnosed with CTE. And I'm going to make sure that I play something like a clip of his. Um, Hopefully, it ain't too long for when I find because we got to wrap it up. It's kind of late, and I got to get ready for tonight's live. It's in for for work too. So, um, Wally Hilgenberg, Glenn Ray Hines, Jim Hudson, Jerry Hoof, Vincent Jackson, John Henry Johnson, Tim Ketting, Terry Long, Rob Little, Don Mackey, Ole Maxson, Tom Hill, Earl Morrill, Larry Morris, Paul Oliver, Tommy Nobis, Joe O'Malley, Joe Perry, Mike Powell, Andreen Robinson, Scott Ross, Tyler Sash, Eric Scoogens, Junior Soul, Bubba Smith, Robert Soul, Ken Stabler, Justin Stark, Moisey Tupu. Here they go. Daniel Teo Nassim, Kevin Turner, Andre Waters, Mike Webster, Ralph Wenzel, John Wilburn. So may they all rest in peace. These are a list of people that were diagnosed post-mortem of having CTE. And one of the most prominent ones that I recognize that kind of led me to speak about this is Aaron Hernandez, which he played for the New England Patriots. And I actually, let me just bring up myself real quick. I'm going to bring up a video of Aaron Hernandez just to give y'all a quick little backstory if you are not privy to him. Now, shout out to Mr. Bae because we talked about this like a couple weeks ago. And he made me want to talk about this more, of course, on my platform. So if I could spell the goddamn man name right. So I hope everyone's having a good day, good Wednesday. Anybody eat anything good for lunch? Talk today. Let me know. Get your ass out of here, Russia. Actually, you know what? Stay. You may need to hear this. Okay? You might want to hear this. So stick around. All right. So let's all right. Well, we're gonna watch from Dr. Todd Grande, which he is one of my favorite YouTubers. I really, really like the way that he breaks down things. He gets a little dry, y'all. But shout out to him. Let me bring him up.
Mind of Aaron Hernandez. So Aaron Hernandez was a convicted murderer who died in 2017 at the age of 27. Prior to his arrest for murder, he was best known as a tight end for the New England Patriots. Evidently, in that role, he was exceptionally talented. He had achieved a high degree of fame and wealth. An important note here, Aaron Hernandez was a real person, of course. So just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. So the Netflix series was interesting. It was 3 episodes. It really spent a great deal of time speculating on possible causes in terms of what caused Aaron Hernandez to commit murder and what caused his eventual suicide. That really seems to be the theme of the series. Again, kind of looking at these causes. How could somebody so rich and powerful and famous and with so much to live for become a murderer? Overall, I really liked the series. I thought that it maybe emphasized a few of the angles a little too much, but I liked the recordings from jail, listening to those. I hadn't heard many of those before, so that was interesting. And then a lot of the interviews with different people that played a role in his life. I thought that added some value as well. So I'm first going to look at the timeline of the different crimes associated with Aaron Hernandez, and then take a look at the mental health and personality factors, and then offer my thoughts as to what happened in this situation.
Now, question. Have you all seen the Netflix series Killer Inside of the Mind of Aaron Hernandez? He was kind of the one that kind of kicked off the CTE thing, in my opinion, to have people, kind of start awakening and like, oh, what's going on here?
Aggression and impulsivity. So again, in 2007, while in college at the University of Florida and playing football for the Florida Gators, we see that Aaron was excessively using cannabis and perhaps some other substances and was involved in an assault at a restaurant. He was only 17, but he was served alcohol. He refused to pay the bill, and after some tension between him and the manager, because of that, Aaron struck the manager on the side of the head and ruptured his eardrum. The police were called. After the police arrived, the manager decided not to pursue charges. It's not really clear what happened here, but the manager alleges that he was offered money by lawyers working for the Florida Gators. Evidently, they denied that claim. Later that same year, we see that there was a double shooting that did not result in death. And in this situation, Hernandez was implicated. He was never charged with the crimes, and later we learned that it was unlikely that he actually committed the crimes. Now moving to 2012 and up to Massachusetts, we see there was a double homicide. But Aaron wasn't charged with that until 2014, so I'm going to review the Odin Lloyd murder first and then move to that double homicide. So looking at June 17, 2013, Odin Lloyd, who was one of Aaron's friends, was found dead from multiple gunshot wounds about a mile from Aaron's house. Again, this is Massachusetts. 8 days later, we see that Aaron was charged with first-degree murder and additional related charges.
Now, babe, could you imagine, like, Aaron Hernandez was loved in the community. People really, really loved him. And he took likings. He was very powerful, had a lot of money, and he was a beast on the field. But then, next thing you know, you turn around and you're like, he's been murdered somebody, and his best friend at that. And you just wonder, I don't know, what's up, RFC? LNC? Jesus, I don't know what to call you. Hey, babe. What's going on with you, honey? I'm so glad you can make it today. We're just talking about CTE, and we're now talking about Andon, Aaron Hernandez, and his little Netflix story. I ain't got no sense. You're chilling like a villain, always willing to spend time with you. Let me play this shit.
Two of Aaron's accomplices were charged as well. April 15, 2015, Aaron was convicted of first-degree murder and other charges. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now moving back to 2012, that double homicide, we see this occurs in Boston. Two men were shot to death while their car was stopped at a traffic light. The shooter was driving a silver Toyota 4Runner. Now, looking at the investigation of the Odin Lloyd murder, we see that a 2006 Toyota 4Runner that was also silver was discovered as part of that investigation. It was leased by Aaron Hernandez. In addition to this, Aaron was also put at the scene by video recordings we see from a nearby bar. Now, he was charged in 2014 with these murders and other related charges. In 2017, he was acquitted of all the charges except for illegally possessing a firearm. But of course, he was still serving a life sentence for the Odin Lloyd murder. April 19, 2017, we see that Aaron Hernandez commits suicide in prison. This was 5 days after the acquittal of the double murder charges. He left 3 notes, one to Jose Baez, his attorney, one to his fiancée, and one to his daughter. Now taking a look at the mental health and personality factors at work in this case. So I'll start with the personality factors first, using the 5-factor model. I remember this.
Now, we just wanted to go over his little life story, and I wanted to shout out Dr. Todd Grande. He is a awesome doctor YouTuber. If you like to get into the psychological aspects of people, he is a great person to follow because he really kind of breaks down things. He goes from narcissism to personality disorders to emotional disorders, all types of mental things. So if you're into things like that, I would definitely suggest you head over to his channel. Not right now, stay here with me and talk to me. But after when I get off, go check him out. Okay. So next, excuse me. Next, I wanted to go over some of the football players that either are local, non-local. Um, it was just a couple of videos that I came across that um, I wanted to play. This one starting off is from former NFL star, claims he's living with CTE. And this is Larry Johnson, 38, told ABC News he battles memory loss, anxiety, forgetfulness, and mood swings after a record-breaking NFL and the words cut off. Okay. What y'all been eating today for lunch? Man, give me something to eat. I'm hungry.
NFL overnight. There you see Brandon Williams from the Colts. Helmet on helmet hit. He was taken off the field with concussion. And now former NFL star Larry Johnson speaking out in an ABC News exclusive. Johnson's 38, convinced he's living with CTE as he battles memory loss, anxiety, and suicidal impulses. Lindsay Davis sat down with him, joins us now. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. He was a first-round draft pick in 2003. And today, Larry Johnson says there are 2 entire NFL seasons he simply doesn't remember. He says he doesn't blame the NFL, but Johnson says it's time to change the way the game is played because he believes the game has changed him.
He played the game with a rage that made him great.
The pitch and run to the 47.
A 2002 Heisman Trophy finalist at Penn State and a 2-time Pro Bowler. In 2006, playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, Larry Johnson carried the ball 416 times, an NFL record.
Thank you for talking with us.
But the 38-year-old former NFL running back now believes he suffers from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Why do you believe you have CTE?
I get light headaches every now and again, and my anxiety levels is off the chart. Sometimes I can't be in places certain long, so I have to retreat back to my own place because the anxiety makes my heart beat faster.
Johnson is convinced his many symptoms, including erratic mood swings and forgetfulness, all point to CTE.
But you've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so why not attribute these feelings to that?
Because those feelings don't have anything to do with my headaches. They don't have anything to do with why I'm sensitive to light, sensitive to noise.
He also describes destructive impulses and, in some cases, actions. Johnson has been arrested 6 times, several times for assaulting women. In 2009, he was waived by the Chiefs after being suspended for conduct detrimental to the club.
Rock bottom is almost losing custody of your daughter, not coming home at night, don't know where you are. It was kind of let life drag me along, and hopefully somebody would put me out of my misery.
A pattern of troubled behavior that he says is not all that unlike Aaron Hernandez, the former New England Patriot who committed suicide in his jail cell while serving a life sentence for murder and was recently found to have suffered the most severe case of CTE ever discovered in a person of his age. Dr. Ann McKee, who has not evaluated Johnson and is not his doctor, says while we can't diagnose CTE while someone is still alive, we can suspect CTE based on their symptoms and if they've been exposed to repetitive head trauma.
It can be very difficult to distinguish between mental health issues and CTE symptoms. And I would say in this particular situation, it's close to impossible.
Have you ever had a concussion?
I never really had a concussion, but the repeated head trauma that I've received since 9, it all adds up.
He distinctly remembers being...
See, I talked about this earlier, Bae. At the beginning of this live. Well, the beginning of me talking about CTE. We went over stats and shit like that at the beginning. But, you know, you putting your children out here trying to set up their future, you know, in our community. Oh, yes, Mike. Oh, we get into some deep pillow talks over here, honey. Yes, for sure. And I thank you for being here. But, you know, in our community, in the Black community, we put our young boys out there on the football field to set up their future, right? We're not thinking of setting up them to be mass murderers. I mean, lightly, I'm saying that lightly. But that's, you know, that's some of the things that I want you guys to think about, you know. How can we change this now? I know they started doing flag football now. You can't touch, but what if there's that aggressive and you know, I'm all about if I had a little boy, he would first play baseball. But if he wanted to play football, I'd be like, yeah. And I would tell him, go tackle that motherfucker out there. Get him, Junior. But I would be out there screaming, all that. Because that's the kind of mom I am. I like to big up, you know, I like to big up my kids whenever they're doing something and make them feel like they're doing the best that they ever could. But yeah, I agree. I just don't think that I would allow, I mean, no, I won't say I won't allow. If my son, you know, whenever he gets here, whenever God blesses me with a son, look, I ain't pregnant. Whenever God wants to bless me with a son, I'm going to encourage him to play baseball because that's the money maker right there. You want to set up a future. Baseball is where it's at. But if not baseball, then if he wants to do football, go ahead. But I'm gonna be out there. You better tackle that. Get him. I'm gonna be like that because that's just my nature, and that's how we, as as the black community, we be in the stands yelling and cursing and get him, Junior, Mike, you better get his ass. That's just what we're used to. It's second nature to us. So, as I was saying, go full circle. Y'all know I start to go off track, but yeah, with he basically was set up, and now he's saying, he doesn't even want to be in certain places at certain times. His insanity, anxiety starts to get heightened, and he starts to get anxious, and he feels irritated and irritable. We all have our situations where our anxiety gets high, and we don't want to be at a certain place at a certain time. Maybe the vibes ain't right. However, and then we like exit stage left, or we're gonna be windmilling our asses up out of there. Hey, let me continue.
Being 9 years old, playing his very first game of tackle football.
It was the very first kickoff term I ever had in my life. Ran to the sidelines. Somehow I got tunnel vision, and it was like a white light, and that was it. I laid out on the field. They tried to get me to go back in the game. I said, I don't want to go back in the game.
If you go back to your 9-year-old self, do you walk off to the sidelines forever?
No, I don't. No, I don't do that because football is literally ingrained in me. Even if they would have told me about CTE when I was 9 years old, I would still play.
It's children he credits with helping him now, an organization called Motivational Edge, which uses art to help children express emotional trauma.
We allow them to be themselves. We create a safe space for them to be themselves.
And he says that if he does have a son, he'll let him play football, but not tackle football until high school. And I also asked him if he would play football all over again. He said without hesitation, yes, but he says that he would play it differently. He feels there needs to be more education about how to hit, how not to hit, to avoid the really head-jarring, devastating blows. He says he would juke more rather than tackle head-on.
Yeah, I played against him. He was a big, strong guy, and he would come at you. And I agree with him about education about tackling. There's the right way to tackle, the wrong way to tackle. You don't lead with your head. But it's funny. Some of my friends who had to retire because they've had concussion issues, all of them said they would play again. They would not change it.
That's interesting.
Really interesting. Thank you. Great piece, Lindsay. Thank you so much.
Babe, that was a wonderful piece. I actually enjoyed that, and I actually enjoyed that the young man. God damn it! I done spilled my water. It was just a little bit in there, but it had ice and stuff. Anywho, so Larry Johnson, that he has a what is that thing called? Now I got memory loss and anxiety and forgetfulness and mood swings. That he has a what did he say? Damn it. He said something about he has kids that they express themselves through painting. And I like that idea. As I was saying, wanted to open up, well, my mom wanted to open up a group home, and I wanted to be a counselor for young boys, because that is a passion of mine. It is a passion, something that I would like to do. And, we still got time. We ain't old and senile yet. My mama getting up there, but I'm still young. Love you, mama. But that it is something that still interests me because there's so many young Black boys in our community that don't have anywhere to go, don't have anyone to turn to talk to. And I just want to be that vessel, that outpost, that shoulder to kind of cry onto, and to help motivate, our young brothers to get back in the game. Hope has not ended, and hopefully to save a life. I'll give y'all a little short story time. And I've mentioned this before. Sorry, I'm trying to pick up this damn ice. But I had a cousin that was living with me, and he committed suicide at the age of 21. He had just turned 21. Um, it affected me really, really badly, till still to this day. And the day before he committed suicide, he had gotten missing, and then he came back, and his mom was like, "Can you just talk to him? Can you just talk to him for me? I don't know what's going on. He ain't been acting right." And he started getting distant, and I could tell. I pay attention to people. I watch their ways and, the different things that they do. And so, you know, I reached, not I reached out to him, but when he came back from being missing for 24 hours, not answering the phone, not talking to anyone, I sat outside with him, and he was just like, "I just don't know. Like, I feel like I can't get ahead in life. You know, things are bothering me. I'm away from my friends because they had moved down here from Pennsylvania. I'm not, around my friends, my girlfriends. My job ain't looking up too good." And he had just got a job at Walmart, but he just wasn't feeling it. And we all get to that point where we're just like, "I'm not feeling this. Like, what can I do? I'm trying to do everything I can. I just can't get ahead." And it's okay to feel like that. Make sure you're doing your footwork to get ahead in life. But we have our ups and our downs. So, I try to tell him, because he really, really meant a lot to me. I try to tell him, like, things happen. We all go through it. It's life. Hell, at the time, I was almost going through a divorce. I had two small kids and all that. So I was going through my own situation, but I was very trying to be there for him as much as possible. But he just felt like he couldn't do it, and God rest his soul. And the next day, we found out that he got missing again, and it looks like he tried to. From the police, they said that the previous day he tried to do it, but it looked like the belt broke, and he went off like to a field with anyways, I ain't gonna get into that, but I say this to say, um there's hope. um you know Trying to come full circle, because I'll start to go and go and go. But with the boys home that I hope that God can bless me and my mother with having, so that I can be here. Our black brothers and our black sisters are going through a lot, have been through a lot, that are locked up in the system, that are out here homeless in the streets, and there's nobody there for them. Now, a lot of people have put their own selves into situations, and I get it. But also, a lot of people have had that guidance that they so desperately need. So over here at Pillow Talk Bae, we try to get into some things. And yes, Mike, depression and anxiety is heavy in our community. And I don't know if you was here earlier, but I hate when people say that person is crazy. I really wish we would get that stigma out of here. Um, because just because a person suffers with mental health issues doesn't mean that they're crazy. And that's why there's such a stigma, and why so much of our community don't want to seek help, because they don't want to be labeled as crazy. And I get that, but at the same time, you could save not only your own life, you could save someone else's. Now, I'm a person that I think about others before myself. So I think about oh, I can save someone else's life. Because I don't want to flip on nobody out here. Snap, crackle, and pop on your ass. So that's what I think about when it comes to mental health. I think about others, and if I don't secure my own mental health, how it will affect others. Now, people are very self centered and selfish. So then, okay, you want to save yourself then. However, the wind blows, yourself or others, just do what you got to do, okay? Look at the rest of these comments. So my boys played 10 through 12. My adopted son played in the CFL on down. But they're fine. Streets tried to get my oldest more than football. Yeah, I get that too. My cousin, he played in the NFL, and I showed a clip of one of his catches earlier. Um, and he's the youngest boy. Well, there's another boy after him, but for the most part, growing up, he was the youngest boy. And his father, their father, because it's a couple of them, tried to save the oldest two, but they got into the streets. So I get that. I have that in my family as well, as a lot of people in the Black community do. And my uncle didn't play football. He was a boxer back in Philly. So yeah, I try to tell people when I'm talking to them is we're more of the same than different. Why do we have to bicker and fight so much together? And we could be so much stronger together as a vessel versus going back and forth and trying to tear each other down. I don't get that. But I mean, sometimes people are set in their ways. People like to be the way they are, and you can be how you are over there. You should stop taking shots to them. I'm throwing them things back, 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 back. Tequila. Yeah, bars. Look, catch me in the studio with my Coolio hat. Like, stop. Time out. Time out. Flag on the play. I hate when I have to deal with that shit. Yeah, me too. Like, I am that one person, like, as my platform say, this is Dia Bay, your favorite Bay. I am that one person that everyone comes to when they're going through things, either mentally, physically, or financially. And I have no problem being that. I like that. And that's why I've kind of created my platform because I felt like I kind of served my purpose with my family and friends. And now I'm trying to reach the masses to be someone to someone, that I don't know. Now, I ain't going to be providing y'all financially. Y'all can forget that. So don't request no fucking cash app from me because I'm going to curse your ass out and then I'm going to block you. Okay? Just FYI. But please feel sure to hit the cash app and get back some lunch because she's hungry. But no, I'm just kidding. But like I like being this type of person. Making people happy makes me happy. If I can't make you happy, I feel like I have no purpose with you. And I can't make everyone happy is what I'm realizing. And that's what my platform is going to help me realize even more. Some people just don't want to be happy. And it's that doesn't mean that they no longer serve purpose to you anymore because they don't want to be happy. It's nothing you did to them. It's their life, their childhood, how they was raised, and you you can't control them. You laughing. Oh man. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today with Pillow Talk with Sports Bay while I'm flexing on her. That was a weak ass flex, but y'all get it. um, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. Like this video. I know you like me, Bay. I will eventually become your favorite Bay, if it ain't already. um, and if you need anything, feel free to hit me up. Suicide prevention hotline is at the bottom. All right. If you don't want to talk to me, talk to somebody. Talk to a professional. I'm a professional shit talker. That's about it. But I am here for you. Okay. As a community, we could get through it. All right. No, salute to you, King. And I appreciate you coming through, you and the rest of the late night crew. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get my ass in the studio. I'm gonna give y'all 16 classic bars straight, no breath. Just ether it. Don't be jealous. But before I get out of here, while I got some of y'all still here, I need y'all to go shop. Shop, shop, shop. Hey, Micah, Miscus Ned. Look, I can't click on it so Siri can tell me what your name is. Hey, how you doing? You look new around these parts. Welcome. Oh, I'm starting to sound contrite. But welcome. I'm glad to have you here. If anybody needs to reach me, you need a intro, outro, thumbnail, please hit me up. Pillow Talk with me behind the scenes. I really, really need someone to help me out with Sports Talk Tuesday. Because I don't know the terms of sports and I ain't all into it, but I want to give my fellas something. So please, the quickest way to hit me up is IG Pillow Talk _ with Bay, or you can email me. I try to check that every day. Pillow Talk with Bay at gmail.com. Okay. I hope I see y'all later for Messy Wednesdays. We're going to get a little messy. You know, only 1 week for the mess. Okay. All others, we about positivity and uplifting one another. All right. I'll see y'all later. Oh, before I see y'all later, don't forget to tell somebody you love them. All right. Don't forget to tell somebody that you need them. Okay. And don't forget to tell somebody that you're here for them. All right. You never know who needs to hear that. I'll see y'all like 9, 10 o'clock-ish. Okay. Y'all be good. Behave out here. All right. Love y'all. Bye, bye. I'll see you later.